Hi, I wanted to throw this information out as well regarding post-traumatic stress disorder following the explant surgery. Because once I recognized and acknowledged that I was dealing with some of this, it helped my healing journey. It helped me process in my head that I wasn't just healing physically from being poisoned from the toxic implants for many years, but I was also dealing with healing emotionally from the damage that was done through my breast implant illness journey. And once I acknowledged that and started dealing with that, my healing journey really just took off and things just started going extremely well for me. I want other women out there to know they're not alone in this struggle following their explant surgery. A lot of the PTSD following explant is associated with the toxic overload we're in from the poison from the implants. I've got other videos that mention that we're left to deal with this extremely toxic candida, and we need to eradicate that. But we've basically been poisoned, me, 9.5 years, because I continued to seek out doctors to help me, and they were testing me for everything but what I needed to be tested for. Had they acknowledged that the implants were poisonous, that would have been a really good place to start, followed by that I have genetic mutations like MTHFR and my cells can't even begin to handle eradicating these poisons that were coming from my implants out of me. So instead, my body used candida to trap the poisons coming from the implants, put it in my digestive tract, and I eradicated it that way. But I've got other videos that correlate to that information if you're interested. But this is pretty vital in healing, is understanding that we have some serious trust issues following our explant surgery. We reached out desperately to the medical community to help us, and we were failed. I'm not saying that every doctor didn't have really good intentions and want to help us, but all we know is that we reached out continuously because we knew we were dying. We didn't know why we were dying, but we knew we were dying. So here we were reaching out continually, trying to get the help we needed just to survive. And we were judged as hypochondriacs. We were judged that we just decided to go from being extremely active marathon runners and healthy to debilitated, barely able to function brain fog, where we couldn't even figure out whether we should be going to the men's restroom or the women's restroom. I couldn't even decipher what the little picture was on the outside of the bathroom towards the end. My brain was completely jacked up, and I know I'm not alone there. It's embarrassing. I was extremely embarrassed. So then I would reach out to these doctors, and I would become more embarrassed because they would run certain tests, and they would all come back fine, and they would say, "You're fine." I was far from fine. I was getting worse every day. So we also, I think a lot of us also lost loved ones through our journeys, because again, we were judged as being hypochondriacs, like we had just decided to give up on life. We became kind of isolated because we were so ill that just barely pulling through and functioning in a normal day had become impossible for me anyways. So when I figured out, it was months after my explant surgery, that I was dealing with some of this. It made sense then. Yeah, of course I was traumatized from what I went through. I almost died, and I couldn't make anyone even listen to me to help me and to acknowledge that I was dying. I was desperate to save my life, and it became hopeless because after you reach out to 100 doctors and not one acknowledges how truly ill you are, you naturally lose all hope. And that's a horrible place to be in life. It's a horrible place to be in life. And that's why I even am bothering to make these videos, because I know other women are out there enduring the same exact nightmare. And after your explant, those people that did stick tight with you through this nightmare, now they expect you to make an immediate recovery following your explant. And when you don't make that immediate recovery, you're judged all over again. Oh, it wasn't your implants that were making you sick. Of course it was your implants making you sick. They're toxic. I don't understand how people are missing this vital information of breast implants are toxic. Who wants to go drink a little bit of Roundup every day, all day long? That's pretty much what we're doing with the gel bleed from the implants in us, not to mention the mold that comes from those implants as well, or did my saline implants. Everybody said saline implants were so much safer, whatever. But so now we're being judged after our explant because we're not making immediate recoveries. Please, please, women that are going through this after your explant, remember, it's kind of like when you were pregnant for 9.5 months and you gave birth and the doctor said, don't expect your body to just shrink back and be just like it was before you had babies immediately. It takes time. We have been poisoned by these breast implants for years. Your body, in an effort to protect your body, it started putting this poison coming from the implants in your digestive tract. You are loaded with this toxic candida. So it's almost like you still have the implants. Please do not let others discourage you that have no idea what breast implant illness is about and make you think that you should be recovered already. And please check out my other videos. If you're extremely sick still following your explant, there's a deceit going around that women need to be taking all these anti-candida medicines and supplements, and that's very detrimental to those of us that got really sick from implants, because the reason we got really sick from implants is because we had these genetic mutations where our cells couldn't get that toxin out of us. So it instead put the toxins in this yeast and was storing it in your body because you were being continually poisoned. So I wanted everyone else to acknowledge this PTSD because it really helped me so much in my journey following my explant. Don't rely on others. Don't receive your validation from others. You know who you are. You know who you are inside. You don't need validation and support from all these other random people that have no idea what you have just survived. It's a flat out nightmare what we survived. We've lost trust in the medical community. We're reaching out desperately after explant, trying to find out how quickest to regain our health completely. Some of us may not even make a full recovery from being poisoned continually for years. But all of us will recover because we're removing the root cause of the toxicity. Then it's just a matter of getting this highly toxic candida out of your body. But it takes a while to do it safely with strict diet, zeolite, which will grab those toxins and remove them from you because your cells can't do it. That's why you got sick in the first place from your implants. You have these genetic variations where your cells couldn't properly remove the toxins coming from your implants. Other women that don't have these genetic variations like MTHFR, they're not going to get as sick from their implants. But those of you that got as sick as I did and you know who you are, that's why, and that's what you're left to deal with following leaky gut and the extremely toxic candida. I think it also helped me to, when I recognized this PTSD that I was dealing with, I recognized that not every doctor, they weren't out to hurt me intentionally, but they did judge me harshly as a hypochondriac. And they judged me as like I was well, and I had this mental disorder that just, I thought I was sick. When you look at my before pictures when I had the implants and you look at my after pictures of what I look like now, I mean, it's a dramatic difference. Though it's photographic evidence of I was completely swollen and from the toxicity in me. I dropped that weight within days, and then I dropped another 30 pounds within less than 3 weeks once this candida began pouring out of me. So I have photographic evidence, if anyone needs it, to prove the health I was in as a marathon runner before I received my implants, and my health decline with those implants, and my dramatic turnaround once I explanted and once I was able to properly remove the candida, the toxic candida from my body. But I know these doctors, not every single one was trying to hurt me. I know some of them truly had good intentions and wanted to help me, but I was still left following my explant, not being very trustful of doctors because they almost let me die. If God had not intervened, I would have died. And I shudder. My heart breaks to think how many women are dying of toxic shock and sepsis, and they have no idea their implants are the root cause of this. I just can't even let my mind go there because this is a truly tragic epidemic. I also made a decision to either restore the relationships that were severed during my BII journey, those that judged me, those that did not support me and help me during the lowest times of my life. So I chose to either restore those or I completely allowed them to be severed, and I have not looked back since. That alone was a true blessing for me. It kind of just gave me true internal peace and relief. And I did that with the help of God. God showed me who the important people were in my life during my journey and who was never important at all. And I hate to be harsh like that, but when you endure something like this, it's different. You break your arm and everybody has empathy for you because they can see it. It's completely different when you're dying inside, but you appear okay on the outside. And therefore, people begin to judge you harshly that you must not really be sick, because most of us became so good at faking it. I don't even know how I functioned for as long as I did, rather normally. I had a lot of tricks of the trades that I used. I printed MapQuest directions. I hid them under my leg when I would drive around so people wouldn't know that I didn't know my way to get to even work anymore. So I had come up with all these tricks to try to put on this facade like I wasn't that sick, because I couldn't get anyone to listen to me and help me anyways when I did share with them how deathly ill I was and how extremely debilitatingly fatigued I was. I couldn't get people to listen, so instead I began smiling and pretending like everything was okay until I could no longer do that anymore, and I was debilitated in bed with seizures, unable to speak and comprehend what others were saying to me. That was the point I went into toxic shock. But before that, I bet there was 2 years that I managed to struggle through pretending and looking like on the outside like everything was pretty okay. Those that worked with me, my colleagues and bosses, knew that wasn't the case because they saw my gradual decline in health. And I began missing a lot of work, and it made no sense because I was just so extremely healthy before my implants. But I hope this information helps other women. And also, I know some women, I did not grieve the loss of my implants. My implants literally almost killed me, and I couldn't kick them out quick enough. So it saved my life kicking them out when I did. But I do know some women grieve the loss of their implants. Just grieve it and move along. Recognize they are toxic bags that almost killed you. You were deceived into thinking that these were safe. They almost killed you. If they didn't almost kill you, you became extremely ill, and you recognize it after your explant when you begin healing. And I think it's helpful, again, to make a decision on restoring certain relationships that were severed during your implant journey and walking away and keeping the door shut on those that were not healthy relationships to start with. That was just a huge blessing for me. I hope this information helps you. God bless you.